Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for August 8th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I'm here to update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 28 live feeds. It was day 32 in the house, and there's so much to talk about. Oh my God. There's a lot going on. The Blindside from Thursday has basically reset the game, and there's new nominations, there's new alliances, there's new groupings, there's all kinds of new things, including a new updater with me today. It's Morgan. How you doing, Morgan?
Oh my gosh, I'm fabulous. I can't wait to talk about this with you. A lot has happened. Things are getting juicy, and I love it.
Truly, a lot has happened. We are going to have to kind of go fast and loose with some of this stuff because there's a lot to get to. Really, because as you all know, Blindside eviction, tool shed blown up, Lyric gone. Lala wins the HOH. Her plans from the night before were to nominate Barrett, Drew, and Kamu
Comment.
with the intention of backdooring Haley. Those plans remain the plans coming into the morning, but she still has to do all of her one-on-ones. And there's still a lot of things to discuss. There's a power to give out. There's a lot to talk about here. So we started the day very early with Kamu talking to Taylor, saying something that was very apt for what was going to happen for the rest of the day, which is that after that vote, it feels like it reset the game. And number one, that's very true. And number two, Kamu is weirdly one of the only people to fully recognize that. Like a lot of other people in the house, including some of the vets, including like Drew and Barrett, they all kind of feel like that vote was like good. It kind of, overturned the power and kind of like, it's a power shift. This isn't really a power shift. This is a scramble. Everyone has been fully reset, and the people that realize that the fastest are the people that are going to benefit the most here. And I'll tell you early, Kamu's realizing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's I know a lot of people aren't big fans of him, but the guy is playing his ass off right now. I mean, he was on the block and was able to get himself off the block. And by using the information that he's gathered from this vote, I mean, gotta give it to him. Really do.
Yes. Kamu talks to Taylor about Yash and how much he thinks that, like, he wonders if Taylor trusts Yash. She says she does. He also feels like he can trust Yash. That's going to be an important sort of connection conversation for them moving forward. Remember, this vote is a very tricky one to figure out, theoretically, where there's 5 people claiming they voted for Lyric to stay, and only 3 of them actually did. Yash is one of the few people that is like consistently believed from most people, although not Haley, because he's just been the most sort of like upfront about the situation. Weirdly, given that Yash should be one of the more suspected people, having not been in the tool shed. But while they're doing that, Haley is talking to Angela about how she does not trust Kamu or Yash. Haley believes that the votes were D, Angela, and Chuk, which means Yash and Kamu are lying. Of course, we know she's very wrong. Chuk is trying to interrogate Devins about who was telling him to flip with the vote. Devins is refusing to give anything up. So there's still just a lot of fallout happening from that vote. Angela, D, and Barrett and Drew are talking about like planting fake stories from seasons that these people have definitely not seen, like season 9, that there was a power that changed votes. And all of this stuff is happening. None of it really matters. And there's so much focus on trying to hide the votes, disguise where the votes came from, that again, it's kind of opening the door for other players to be like, well, let's just focus on who do we trust moving forward, because this whole thing's been blown up.
Yeah. I feel like to me, it's very fascinating to have Haley feel like the people that she's been working with since day one of them would have been the ones that would have snaked her, when it's like, her, Chuk, and Kamu were locked in. But I think this attests to how Dee and Angela have done so much work on Haley that she can't possibly imagine that Dee and Angela could do this to her. Um, and I do think it's very interesting. I think it was a good play that they flipped the vote. I am very curious to see how the line catches up to them because everything catches up to you in the Big Brother house eventually. But um, yeah, I mean, what an experience, what a blindside to have. Thank God we finally had a little bit of a change. What is it, 4 weeks in? Thank goodness. Um, yeah, I'm really curious to see what and if and how they figure out whether these votes are real or not. I don't think they're ever going to. I know obviously we know Haley has a plan to have a meeting, but you know.
Yes. And I mean, yeah, like my thing is, I think that the vote flip made sense in many
Yeah,
ways, right? Like keeping Drew, even keeping Melody, but leaving Kamu and Haley and Chuk out of it was a bit much, a bit fancier than necessary. And I'm not complaining because it was
mhm.
phenomenal television. We kind of talked about it yesterday. And we won't get too deep into it today either because there's tons of other stuff to mention. But it's worth like just pointing out that by even though it's working for the most part, even though Haley is completely in the dark, there's too much energy spent on it, and it
Yeah,
still like has blown up a spot that didn't necessarily need to be blown up, in my opinion.
totally.
And yeah,
Yeah, no, I think you're so right. I think what they weren't thinking about is like Haley. I mean, Taylor and Lala clocked this. Haley doesn't she doesn't get over anything. Like she will hold on to that to the end of time. She'll probably talk about this on her deathbed. Like this is something that is going to be like affecting her. And I feel like, Dee and Angela are kind of like, well, whatever, it's over. We should get over it. It's like Haley's not gonna get over it. And I feel like that could end up being something that could potentially hurt their game if people do find out that they ended up lying, especially with people like Kamu and Chuk who value honesty, especially Haley. So this is going to be interesting if people do end up finding out that they lied about that vote.
yeah. So Lala's gonna start her one-on-ones. She starts with Chuck, who has just a quick meeting. He's all good. There's no worry there. They'd already talked about that. Yash has a good conversation with Lala. He says he trusts Devins the most of the six of them. Yash still talking about them as a group. The fact that Devins is openly not voting with them anymore is kind of a good sign in his mind. Remember, he has the Wolf Pack alliance that is still going strong, which also sort of coincides with this relationship that he's got with Kamu. These like alliances, the Wolf Pack, which as a reminder is Devins, D, Kamu, and Yash, and the Tethers alliance, or the Primaries alliance, which is Taylor, Kamu, and Devins. These things have been kind of just like sitting unused in storage for a little while,
Sure.
but they still exist, and that does matter. So just keep that in mind moving forward. But Lala talks to Yash about briefly like the Melody thing because Haley had told Lala that Melody had mentioned nominating Taylor, Lala, and Yash is like, don't. That's coming from an unreliable source. Don't be listening to Haley about anything.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I was really fascinated by like Yash's one-on-one because Yash, surprisingly, who was in hot water week one, has really put himself in a position where he is more so looked at as a value than a target or anything. And I think he did really well with Lala, just keeping it straight with her, um, to where he's not on the block or even a possibility. So it's nice.
Yeah, he's done well just maintaining the relationships he has with both sides, really,
Sure.
and continues to stay off the radar when he really should be on the radar. And this
No,
was a
totally.
sketchy spot for him, being on the other side of this vote.
Yep.
But it was very good for him that I think that Lala won this. He has a good relationship with both Lala and Taylor.
Yeah.
Um, Haley talks to Lala Obviously not going to go super well. She tries throwing Drew and Melody under the bus, similar to what Lala was just talking to Yash about. Obviously, this is not going to work, considering Yash just kind of backed them up to some degree.
Yeah.
She says she trusts Angela and Chuk. About the vote, she still believes that Yash and Kamu are the lyric votes. Lala is not going to give Haley much here. She intends to keep Haley in the dark about the fact that she is her true target. So,
Yep.
again, not much happening there. Lala does talk to Barrett because Barrett is going to have to be one of her pawns, and she lets him know that. She says, I'm going to cut off the head of the snake, but I need you to help me do that. Would you mind sitting on the block for me? And Barrett is giving like basically no resistance, but he also
Right.
knows that he can't say the words that he's okay with being a pawn. So he's like,
Sure.
I'm never going to say it, but I trust you. I'm
Yeah.
never going to say I'm
Right.
okay with being on the block, but it seems like your mind is made up. So I'll trust you on this one.
Hmm. I know. I feel like I mean, I luckily never, well, I mean, I can't say luckily because when I went on the block, I was a target. So it's like obviously being a pawn is very dangerous. But I think in this case, Barrett's sitting relatively pretty being next to two huge targets. But yeah, that conversation was funny because Barrett doesn't really have a lot of pushback in many scenarios at all. So I'm curious when he's gonna start having at least a little like he had pushback with Haley when it came to like the pawn situation, but I'm just curious to see how Barrett plays moving forward.
Yeah, it's he I think is feeling good because there's a lot of
Yeah.
momentum against the cool kids, right? And as long as he's on the
Mhm.
block against some of the cool kids, he thinks he's probably going to be fine.
Sure.
And that he was kind of anticipating that he might go up. He just doesn't have a great relationship with Lala or
Right.
even like really Taylor to that extent.
Mhm.
Because most of his relationships are. We've talked about this before. I think Barrett has a mind for the game. He's just not
Yeah.
branched out all that much,
Totally.
and so he doesn't have a lot of sway, a lot of things he can do for pushback here. And he feels like, you know what, I was kind of expecting this. I'm gonna have to take this one at least for now. And he tells the cameras afterwards, he's like, I think she's got her mind made up.
Yeah.
Um, I can tell you she very much did not have her mind made up considering all of the
No.
changes that are about to come. Um, Lala talks to Angela, speaking of mind being made up, and she tells Angela about her plan. Barrett,
Yep.
Drew, and Kamu on the
Kamu.
block. Angela, she's like, that's a good plan. I got one change. Don't put Drew on the block.
Angela, are you sure?
Wait.
Are we sure that said Angela said that?
No, this is a twin twist.
It's got to be. Someone slipped or something in the DR. There's no way Angela said, "Don't put up Drew." There's no way.
Angela, all of a sudden, is Drew's biggest asset, trying to keep Drew off the block. Who would have guessed it? 1 week ago from today, that Angela would be trying to keep Drew off the block. She says, put Melody on the block instead. Drew can win competitions. You can make a deal with Drew. You can get on his good side by not nominating him. And it seems like Lala is skeptical but receptive to the idea that she can maybe put up Melody instead of Drew. And Drew is next in the order. So when she talks to Drew, she actually doesn't say that she's putting him on the block as a pawn because seemingly in my mind, it's like, oh, well, now I'm not entirely sure. So I'm not going to tell him yet that he's the pawn. She ends up having a good conversation with Drew. You can very much tell that Drew, who of course is like young GameBot Drew, is like, okay, when I talk to Lala, I have to be emotional.
I mean, he went in there. I mean, I'll give him his little acting bag. He really went in there and shed some tears. And I feel like it kind of worked on Lala. I mean, he's not on the block. Would I say that it's solely because of Drew? No. Like we know why he didn't end up on the block, but I'll give him that. It was pretty good. I think it hit Lala pretty a little bit.
He says he feels burned by a lot of people in the house. He very much like again, just kind of focuses on the emotional aspect of things. Later on, he's going to focus even more heavily on like the faith aspect of things because of what Taylor tells him, which is really funny.
Yeah.
But he's really like trying to have this emotional conversation with her. He says that he really wants there to be an olive branch for them to start working together in the game. And he starts getting choked up. He's like, it's just when I talk to you, Angela, it just really reminds me of my mom. I'm such a mama's boy. So, and again, I mean, the conversation goes pretty well here, and he is not told at this time that he's going up on the block as a pawn. So, it's kind of it seems as though there's a shot here that Drew may stay off the block. Kamu then talks to Lala, and she tells him that she needs him as a pawn. That he is, he nominated her after all. She needs him on the block. She needs somebody to win the veto. And that she very much will like want him off the block too. Like there's a bigger target that she's aiming for. Even letting him know like, hey, I would even use the veto on you if that's something that we can do. And so Kamu is again not really pushing back too much. He is like, I understand, I trust you. I don't like this, but it's fine for now. So Lala continuing to kind of strike well here. She does talk to Melody. This is an important conversation because Melody's now an option for the block. Melody encourages Lala to strike while the cool kids are down. Don't let up. Just because it seems like they're at a low point. And Lala mentions that Kamu and Barrett are definitely going up for her ultimate target, which she says is basically Haley. But she does need a third nominee. And so again, she's taken Drew kind of off the board. She's considering Melody. Melody does something that I think is very fun, which is that she says, well, I really appreciate that you're not putting me up on the block.
Yeah, I loved how Melody, I mean, I think she did a really good job, like really playing. I mean, I don't think she was really playing into it, but like she was very happy that Lala won, and she was really just encouraging her to swing heavy and kind of like be like, don't look at me, like swing that direction. I think it was smart for her to say that she's happy that she's not being gonna go on the block. I actually really enjoyed that conversation though.
Yes. I thought it was pretty good for Melody. Very important for her. Obviously, if Melody ended up on the block, that's not good news for her. It's not good news for anybody. This is a very dangerous block to be on, despite like the targeting of Haley. That does like if Haley wins, like what happens? You know what I mean? Like, sure, Kamu could be a backup target. There's all kinds of things that could happen, but at this point in the day, it's just like, the thing that Drew and Barrett especially need to be worried about is that if Kamu wins the veto and Haley goes up and then Haley wins the Blockbuster, all of a sudden it's Drew versus Barrett on the block.
Yeah.
And everyone, there was a lot of discussion online. This is terrible nominations from Lala. What is she doing? She shouldn't be nominated. She's gonna mess this up. And I understand where they're coming from. If your idea of messing up is that like Drew leaves, but for Lala's game, Drew leaving is not messing up, in my opinion.
It's not. Like, I think a lot of people tend to have like views from their favorite perspective and like what they would want to happen. But yeah, Drew leaving is not the worst case scenario for Lala. In fact, I think it is really helpful because it frees up people that could potentially work with her. And Drew is not directly working with Lala. So
yeah, I mean, like, and I understand again, it's like if you're looking at it from the perspective of is Lala getting what she wants done? Is this the most effective way of ensuring that at least one person from that group leaves? Like, no, it's not. But so like for what Lala is intending to do, yeah, this is probably not the best method. But it's really not that bad for Lala's game if things go, quote unquote wrong with these nominations. At least in my opinion. But there's a lot more to talk about there. But as has maybe been hinted a little bit, these nominations might not stick, so it's not completely worth doing a full analysis on them at this point.
Right.
Lala talks to Melody. I already talked about that. She talks to Mallory. She gives Mallory a hint on who's going up. Mallory's not going up. That's great. Lala talks to Taylor again, and she lets Taylor know about Angela's pitch to put Melody up instead of Drew. Taylor says, that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. You need people on the block who are going to be able to compete against Haley in the Blockbuster. So you need Drew on the block. And Lala's like, yes, I agree. It's got to be Drew. She says, she recaps the rest of her conversation. She says, I had a good conversation with Kamu. I told him I'd use the veto on him. And Taylor's like, no.
What do you mean you're going to use the veto?
You need people who will beat Haley on the Blockbuster. You can't use the veto on Kamu. We need him in the Blockbuster. Lala's like, oh. She's like, if we win the veto, we'd use it on Barrett because he's a bad competitor. We take him off the block. We put Haley, and then has to compete against Drew and Kamu in the Blockbuster. That's the ideal scenario. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Angela ends up coming in, and they tell her about the change of plans, which is Drew is still going on the block after all, because they need him as a competitor. Angela's like, that makes sense. I was only saying that, it would be good to offer him an olive branch, but what you're saying makes sense. I appreciate that logic. And then Taylor asks Angela a question. She says, and I don't think it was even meant to be super pointed, but she's like, you're okay with this, right? Like with Haley leaving, because she's your friend. And you can tell this sparks something in Angela because she word salads for the next 5 minutes about like, it's totally actually, I mean, at the end of the day, what happens is, I just because I'm friends with somebody, it doesn't mean, but also I'm friends with you. And so it's actually like, it's not that bad, but and I understand like she's made her bed and I'm not gonna, and you can tell that she's like trying to do the normal thing, which is, yeah, it's totally fine. It's Haley, whatever. But then also she's talking to people that judged Lyric for abandoning her friends. And so as she's in the middle of doing that, she's like, wait a minute, I can't go too
fully
hard.
abandoned.
And she starts wavering back and forth, trying to like find the right middle line. And it takes her a long time.
It does. I mean, because it's weird because she even said that. She was like, Haley is my friend. Like, I like her and I won't lie to you. I do like her, but I get it. It was really funny kind of seeing her teeter-totter and trying to like balance that situation.
Yeah. And this question is going to really be haunting her throughout the day. Then they break up again. Kamu comes back. And this is what we've seen throughout the season so far is that like people are not okay with being pawns for the most part. And they're trying to, they like have the initial conversation. Same thing Lyric did. Then they come back and they try, like, I need to at least try one more time. So Kamu does that. He comes back, skulks up with his hoodie. Lala, listen, I was thinking about it and I do trust you and I do want to help you out here. But I really think it's a mistake to put me on the block because I think that if I'm up on the block by the end of the week, I think they're going to vote me out. And Lala's like, listen, you got to trust me. Nobody's voting you out. You trust me? I do. I trust you. It's just, do I trust everyone else? She's like, trust me. You're good. He's like, okay. And he leaves. He's not wrong, in my opinion.
No.
I was tweeting this out yesterday. I think at the end of the day, as we were just talking about, Morgan, Haley leaving is not good for Angela.
No.
Haley is Angela's friend. Haley's the one that's been completely snowed into believing that Angela and Dee are good with her. She's so valuable to their game. She's going to win competitions. She's going to do what they say. Kamu is the dangerous one. If Kamu's on the block against Haley, I fully believe that the vets will want to flip the votes and take Kamu out. Who would?
100%.
That's why I was saying last week during the roundtable, I was like, I think this time next week, Kamu on the block, Kamu a target, potentially going home. I really think that Kamu is like the most likely evictee at this point, and he's recognizing that too. He's like, wait a minute, guys, Lala, they're gonna vote me out, not Haley.
Yeah.
But she's not really hearing it here, and this pitch does not work.
Yeah, I
Um,
think especially because Kamu knows, he knows himself that he voted out Melody. He knows that there's cracks. He's thinking it's the icons. Like he's kind of like figuring things out. So he 100% was right in him telling like Lala, like, yo, I'm gone if I'm on that block. Like if my butt cheeks are on that block come eviction night, I'm getting voted out. And it's true. I think they would flip the vote if it came down to a Haley Kamu. The vets are 1,000%, especially Dee and Angela, are gonna tell people we need to keep Haley in. Everyone hates her. She's always gonna be on the block. Kamu hasn't touched the block. Blah blah blah. 100% agree.
Yeah, and he finds out in this conversation what a lot of people are going to find out today, which is that if you are talking to Lala and your name isn't Taylor, good luck. Uh, so, um, so in the meantime, Drew and Barrett have been downstairs talking, and Barrett knows that he's going up on the block. Drew ends up coming back as well because Lala needs to talk to him. She tells him, sorry, but you're going to have to go up on the block. I need you to go up on the block because I need competitors. I've got a target, so on and so forth. He tries to argue against it, but it's not going to work. He pushes back, obviously, a lot harder than some of the others did. But
Sure.
at this point, it's already been discussed. It's already been decided. Drew definitely needs to go on the block. He says, well, can I at least be the last face on the wall? When you nominate, he's gonna like do a whole thing. He's gonna dress up. It's gonna be a whole production.
Drew's so funny to me because it's like he's a big fan, he loves the game, but he wants to have fun, which I think is great. I think it is nice to try to find some times where you want to have a little fun because that game is extremely stressful. Um, yeah, pretty funny, pretty hilarious, and he did get dressed up. He did.
Yes. So he tries to talk to Haley, to Taylor about this,
Mhm.
and Taylor says, "Are you a man of faith?" He's like, "I'm Catholic." She's like, then pray and trust me. I've got you. He's like, okay, thanks.
Yeah,
He talks to Barrett and Mallory and Melody, and they're like, this sucks. If, again, in that scenario, Kamu wins Veto, Haley wins Blockbuster, one of them leaves, and by one of them,
it's
she's
true.
like, me, I leave,
Yeah,
Barrett.
it's true.
We all know this.
Mhm.
And so they're like, what can we do? Mallory lets them know, like, Haley's the target. She told me Haley's the target. I'm not supposed to say, but like, Haley's the target. And they're like, maybe we can make one last pitch to try to keep ourselves off the block and
Sure.
say, hey, this plan doesn't make sense. You need to put more of them up on the block because here's the scenario where things go wrong. It is even an even worse scenario where Haley picks Chuk for the veto. Chuk uses it on Haley, and now, where Chuk uses Haley gets the veto, and
Mhm.
Haley uses the veto on Kamu, and now you're in a really tough spot.
Sure.
So they're like, okay, let's go up. Let's do that. So they go upstairs. They have to wait a while because Chuck's up there. And then finally, they make their pitch. Hey, just so you know, this is maybe, we appreciate that you have this idea. It's really good. But what happens if Haley wins the veto and takes Kamu down, so on and so forth? And she's just like, we're good. Guys, don't worry. The veto's going to do great. And again, like Drew's up there, like, listen, we have faith, like we'll do Bible study. We'll make sure the veto draw doesn't happen in a bad way, because it could really go in a bad way. Could really go in a bad
Mhm.
way. We're gonna have to pray about it. And she's like, yeah, it's gonna be fine though. And so this pitch does not work.
Yeah. Which is interesting, but I mean, we know why it doesn't work initially, and that's just because Lala has to run everything back towards to Taylor to make sure that like she's not making like the wrong decision. It wasn't a bad pitch though. I think it was a fair pitch because it's true. Like we all were talking about that online. Like, what if worst case scenario happens and your target wins the veto? Now what? Like Lala's never really mentioned her secondary target in these conversations, so it makes sense why everyone was like, well, if Haley's your target, what if Haley's safe? Then what? Makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, it's not that much of a difference between having two of the targets on the block and one of the targets on the block. The main difference being if Haley wins the veto, that's bad, but you could theoretically put Chuk up if you wanted, and then Chuk could win the blockbuster. So theoretically, all three could be safe in that instance. Whereas if
Mm.
there's two on the block, then one of them can win the veto. But even then, like the third one could win the veto, use it on one of them. The other one could win
In
blockbuster.
Blockbuster.
Not that
Yep.
much of a difference, except the veto's a little more packed now. Really, the only way to guarantee it is all three on the block if you want to guarantee that one of those three leave. The problem is Lala doesn't care about one of the three leaving. She cares about one of the one leaving, which is
Yeah.
Haley.
Right.
Remember, her target before all of this was Devon's,
Yeah.
not like Chuk or Kamu. So their interests are not quite as aligned as I think the Drew and Barrett would like to hope. Now, all of this is happening. The plan's been locked in, but Yash is talking to Kamu while they're playing chess outside the HOH room. And Yash has come around to the idea that Kamu was not one of the lyric votes, that he actually believes Kamu's telling the truth. Kamu swore on his dog.
Mm-hmm.
So
Big deal. It's a
that's a big
big
deal.
deal.
It's
It's a
not the
big deal,
Bible,
guys.
but it is a
It's his
dog.
dog. Listen, and dog moms, dog dads out there, like that's a big deal. Okay. It's a big deal.
Yes. And so he says he was sketched out by Chuk this morning. Now, remember, the night before, Yash and Chuk were talking about how they didn't believe that Kamu was one of the votes. Yash very much in on that. Yash believing that Kamu was lying. However, by the morning, Yash was starting to come around on a different idea, and Chuk went up to Yash and he was like, "Thank you so much for telling me about Kamu." And in Yash's mind, he was like, "Me telling you about Kamu? You were also not believing Kamu. Why are you putting this on me?" And he got sketched out, and he started to come around to the idea that Yash was actually the one telling, or said that Kamu was the one
Come.
telling the truth.
Mhm.
Um, and as he's telling this to Kamu, Kamu just fully throws Chuk under the bus. Like, hey, Chuk is because remember, Chuk is the one that set Angela off about Yash in the first place. Chuk has not been a Yash fan, and so Kamu has information to dump, dirt to dump
Yep.
on Chuk when it comes to Yash. And as soon as Kamu does that, you can see the wheels turn in Yash's head, and he just fully locks in. He says, "Screw Chuk, then. I'm choosing Kamu here."
Yep.
And Kamu goes on to explain that he realizes he's got nobody in this game. That this, again, as he was talking to Taylor about earlier in the morning, this has been like a full reset for the entire game, and certainly for him, because his entire alliance, the people he thought he was working with, basically all turned on him and left him out of a vote. And so he needs to find people. He doesn't want to just be one of the plebeians, who's
Sure.
like, wait, I'm just surviving. I'm on the block. I don't have allies. He's meant to be running this game. He's meant to be steamrolling this game. He needs to create a new alliance. And you might
Mhm.
say, oh, poor soul, Kamu, you're not in the position to do that. You should always be trying because sometimes it works. And so
Yep.
as he's talking to Yash, they're talking this through, and Taylor joins them. And Kamu emphasizes to Taylor, hey, and he kind of gives her a similar pitch. I am on the outs. I was left out of that vote. And Taylor knows this is true. She
Right.
knows it's true even beyond just suspecting it's true because she knows that Angela and Dee were the two votes. And so he says, they are going to vote me out over anybody else if I am up on that block. And he says, we need numbers, Taylor. We need to find people to work against that group that worked together to ice me out and will vote me out. And as he and Yash both are pitching this, they talk about Chuk and how Chuk is lying about everything that he's doing, that he's been lying about Yash. He's been lying about all this other stuff. And also, Chuk is with Haley. He will follow Haley around to the ends of the earth.
Right.
Chuk is the guy. He will use the veto on Haley. He is lying to you about being with you. He is with Haley first over anyone. And who knows that better than anyone else? Kamu. He's been working
Right.
with Chuk this whole time.
Yep.
And this works on
Yeah.
Taylor. It works hard on Taylor because she runs into that HOH room after Barrett and Drew are done, and she tells Lala, we can't nominate Kamu. It's got to be Chuk instead.
Yeah, I mean, I loved that conversation because I mean, Taylor, one thing about Taylor, she likes to strategize, she likes to kind of like get her game lined up, and it was a brilliant pitch. Like, and Kamu isn't wrong, and like you said, Taylor knows that he's not wrong, and I feel like Taylor saw this as an opportunity to like put her and Lala in a better position, and it was a good read for Taylor. Like, I think that it was a smart decision to go and tell Lala that Kamu shouldn't touch the block for their game specifically.
She sees an opening here. And remember, again, the tethers.
Yep.
She is in technically an alliance
Mhm.
with Kamu. She has had a good relationship with him
Yep.
for a while. It deteriorated a bit last week because Kamu was out to lunch last week.
Yeah, he was.
But he's pulling on that now, and Kamu has been awoken. He has been activated by this blindside. He now knows that he can't be resting on his laurels in the way that he was the previous week, and he is starting to work, and he is a much more dangerous player than others are giving him credit for.
100%.
And so Taylor's saying we can't nominate Kamu, we have to nominate Chuk. And I know we didn't want to nominate Chuk, but we got to nominate Chuk. This guy's playing in our face. And Lala clearly is not really into the idea. Because Taylor's just coming in hot with this, and she's like, "What? Why? Like, what? Chuk already thinks he's safe. I already told Kamu he's going up the block. Like, the plan is in place. The nominations are happening soon. Like, soon. This is late into the day. And Taylor's like, at least talk to Yash and Chuk, or Yash and Kamu. And she's like, okay. So Yash comes in. He starts spinning some yarn about the Chuk vote investigation, all the stuff he told Kamu about Chuk saying that this person did this. And now he's saying that he thinks Kamu's lying and he thinks Chuk's the one lying. Maybe he's not, but he thinks Chuk's the one lying in this situation. And he emphasizes that he does think the House will vote to evict Kamu because he does believe Kamu. And he emphasizes also that Chuk is loyal to Haley. And that is the biggest problem. If you want Haley gone, Chuk is loyal to her.
Yep.
So after they get done with this conversation, Lala's like, they're bugging me out. I got to make my own decision here. Like, I want to make sure this is my decision because they're clearly trying to push something on her.
Mhm.
So then she talks to Kamu. And Taylor is there initially, and Taylor's been thinking. She's like, so I was initially thinking, she says, that it should be Chuk instead of Kamu, but hear me out, Chuk and Kamu. Well, Kamu's right there.
Yeah, right. I mean, listen, like she said that she wants, competitors to go against Haley.
Yes.
She's not, wrong in that. It's just, in front of Kamu is a choice.
Exactly. Basically, all competitors like Drew, Chuk, Kamu on the block, like just competitor central. Make sure that Haley cannot win the Blockbuster. But then she leaves very quickly, and Kamu talks to Lala alone, and he says, "Love that idea, but it can't be me. It can't be me on the block, Lala. They will vote me. I was abandoned by my alliance. I don't even know why," he says. "I don't even know why they did that. Why they didn't let me in on the vote, because I would have voted with them." And I'm like, yeah, that's what I've been saying. They
Yeah,
didn't
right.
need to make it a blindside. He would have
Yeah,
been in on it. They just chose to ice him out for no particular reason. But now he knows. Now he knows not only where he stands, but what he needs to do.
sure.
And again, if he stays on the block, they will vote him out. And so she's like, yeah, but I need strong competitors on the block. And if Chuk is up, if I nominate Chuk instead of you, he'll just pick Haley for the veto. And Kamu says, then nominate Chuk and Haley. So they're competing against each other in the veto. He says, listen, I really want to work with you, okay? I want to work with you, and we can build something here. You, me, Yash, Taylor. That's a really strong four. We've all won competitions. Like, we can make something work here. And maybe we even bring in somebody like Drew. If you throw him an olive branch here, if you nominate Chuk and Haley, you don't nominate Drew, you pull him in, and this is unwittingly coinciding with Angela's original pitch of like which Lala was open to.
Right.
We pull in Drew. With Drew comes Melody. Maybe with Drew comes like the Mallory crew. And if you start reading between the lines of the people Kamu is pitching to work with, you start to
Not the
realize that he's basically trying to gather the house to go against the vets.
Yep.
He recognizes that Dee and Angela have snaked him. He's not sure where Devin stands at this point, but he does think that he can gather some people and make a new dominant alliance and take down the people that blindsided him on this vote. He says if we pull Drew in, that's the top 4 from the wall that we just competed in. We are the competitors. And she's like, okay, but if I do this, Drew's the replacement nominee. And then if like Haley wins the veto and Chuk wins the blockbuster, then Drew leaves. And he says, well, hear me out. What if you don't nominate Drew as the renom? Why not nominate another heavy hitter? And I was like, hold on. That was last season. Kamu, you can't. Can't
well, for like a week.
Can't nominate someone from the heavy hitters. He says the icons. Nominate an icon, Dee or Angela. Just put them up on the block. Which you know, you no longer have to read between the lines about what he's saying here. He wants to target. He wants to go against the icons. Now she's not super receptive to that angle of the pitch, but clearly she is receptive to what he's pitching here to her in this moment. Though we don't get confirmation quite yet here, Morgan.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, it was a good pitch on his part just for putting it out there because I think for Lala, like at some point the newbies have to start seeing that the icons are going to be a big problem. They're a big roadblock for them to win this game. And I think for Lala, this is huge for her because she's like, okay, I don't personally want to take the shot because she knows the person that she wants to take a shot at is Devins. Her and Taylor talked about how he potentially has a power. It's probably going to be a waste. But now she has somebody who is very passionate about getting them out, taking a shot that she personally can't take. I'm sure, I mean, I'm excited to listen to her DRs tomorrow to kind of hear what she has to say about the pitch, if it shows or anything. I don't know if it will, but not a bad pitch, and kind of curious to see if it's actually going to form, to be honest.
It was a very good pitch, and I mean, we gotta hand it to him. It was impressive stuff to have gone from the position he was in. I really I was getting ready yesterday. I was like, I was putting on my braggadocious clothes. I was like, I'm getting ready. I'm gonna call myself Nostradamus from last week, saying, I wouldn't be surprised if Kamu's on the block as the target next week. Look what happened. And then Kamu came in and he said, no, hold on. I got something else for you.
Let me cook.
Now, while all this is happening, Yash is downstairs telling Drew and Melody, hey, don't trust that other side. They've been lying to you. And this sets Drew off a little bit. But Yash, again, Yash now on board with this, trying to sort of warn people against the vets, pull in Drew and Melody to some degree. We'll put a pin in that for now because that's more of a long-term thing. We got plenty other stuff to talk about. Lala, in the meantime, brings Yash and Taylor up, and she tells them the new plan. She's decided. Haley, Chuk, and Barrett are the nominees. Drew is the replacement nominee. She has not changed her mind. She's not breaking up the honor society. She's not telling Yash that, of course, but Drew would be the replacement nominee. And now, again, the nominations are now about to happen. Taylor and Yash agree with this plan. They think it's a good idea. And Drew is downstairs, dressed up, ready to be nominated. And he is about to be blindsided alongside most of the house as Drew anxiously awaits his face to be the final one to pop up as requested. And instead, it's not, because Drew is not nominated. And in fact, this is how it goes down. Barrett, Chuk, and Haley have been nominated for eviction.
Listen, he did say he was wearing his lucky tie. So maybe that lucky tie really was lucky. You know, he got all dressed up to just look really nice for television. You know, we got to hand it to him. At least he looked really nice for the nom ceremony.
He said it last week.
Thoughtful.
He'd rather be lucky than good. And Melody's been filling up her luck jar too. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she has. No, she really has. That's so funny. Yeah.
Okay. So everyone is surprised by this except for Kamu, Yash, and Taylor. Nobody knew this was happening. Everybody else was told a different plan. And so confusion abounds. Chuk and Haley are pissed. Taylor's talking to them. Chuk is just like, she said we were in a showmance. A showmance? She thinks we're in a showmance? We're not a showmance. It's not a showmance. Why is she talking about showmance? And everyone's like, she didn't say showmance. She did say showmance. Did you not hear her say showmance? We're not a showmance. It's not a showmance. What are you talking about showmance? It's not a showmance. Stop talking about showmance.
I mean, to say that they were pissed, I feel like is an understatement. God, we heard about them for hours about this damn nomination.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
So that's Chuk is doing that. Chuk is gonna go upstairs and have a conversation with Lala where he's like, you said we were in a showmance. And then also and Lala's like, Chuk. Because at this point, Chuk has already talked to Taylor, and he's been like, and Taylor has told Lala Chuk would put her on the block now, and so Lala's like, you said you were gonna put me on the block. He's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, Lala, you don't understand this game. Like, what are you doing? This doesn't make any sense. You just believe like one person. Like, what is it? Why am I even on the block? You know, like nobody respects you in this game, right? Everyone thinks you're a joke. And she's like, maybe that's what I want people to think. He's like, no, you don't understand. Everyone wanted you on the block as a pawn. And he's later talking to Haley, and he's like, yeah, I wanted her to like, I wanted her to like know that she like feel bad.
Yeah, he had a very big goal, I fear, of like going up and mansplaining Big Brother to Lala, which I was watching that. I was like, I feel like Chuk thinks that he's really laying it on heavy. And like Lala just kind of picks him up and just keeps putting him back in his place over and over when he's just like, well, Lala, everyone was saying that, like, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to play the game. And she's like, listen, baby, that's my game. Like it was hilarious to see Chuk try to like scold Lala, if you will. And I'm just like, it's not working for you, buddy. It wasn't working. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a mess here. And Haley is super upset. She's like, I didn't even nominate Lala. I didn't even nominate her. And I just can't help but flash back to last week when Haley was deciding who her renom should be. And people were like, why not just Lala? Why not just put up Lala? And she keeps saying to them, well, putting up Lala, that would be a personal decision. That'd be playing on emotion. If I put up Lala, that'd be a fucking waste. She's not a threat. That'd be playing with emotion. That would be doing what I emotionally want to do. And then Lyric got voted out, and Lala put her on the block the following week. So,
listen, I love when karma comes back and bites people in the ass in this game. And I think what's also funny is like the fact that she had to physically watch Lala beat everyone in a wall comp, because you know Haley has been just yapping about physical comps and how she can't wait to win one, and she's gonna win it all, and like all the physical comps because she's the best and all the stuff. And she had to watch Lala outbeat Kamu and then see her face show up on the memory wall. Cinema.
Yes. So Taylor and Lala talk as well, and they agree that they want to move forward with Yash and Kamu. And I know we're kind of like I'm really speed running through because there's so much to talk about, and usually I would like stop down and do some more analysis on a lot of this stuff, but we're not even like we're like barely halfway done.
Right.
So, but I do like this. Just as a quick aside, I do like this as a grouping generally for Taylor and Lala. I like that they've managed to pick up the piece that is Kamu. They've pulled in Yash a little more strongly. I think Kamu and Yash would love to work with Taylor and Lala moving forward. I think these were better nominations. And again, even if somebody like Barrett or Drew ends up leaving and Haley and Chuk both stay, that's not even that bad for them because it's just kind of taking more pieces away from the vets, even though they're
Sure.
not actively targeting the vets, which would kind of theoretically be the ideal.
Yeah.
So Angela is very upset throughout all of this. She's crying, and Haley thinks it's because Haley's on the block, but it's actually because she's been thinking about what Taylor said when she asked her if she was okay with Haley leaving. And she goes up and she's sobbing to Lala. She's like, I was thinking about that when you asked about, like, am I okay with Haley leaving? And I just don't want you to think that I'm abandoning my friend and that I'm the kind of person that would abandon my friend. And Lala's like, no, stop. She's like, I don't know, this game is just so hard. And Lala's like, yeah, but listen. And now it's to be clear, when Lala talked to Chuk, Chuk brought up the tea party and how everyone made fun of like what Lala was saying at the tea party because she didn't understand the game. And Lala was like, yeah, and that's what I want people to think. So now Lala's like riding high on that. She's like, and just so you know, I know what I'm doing. I want people to think I don't know it. You think when you saw me at the tea party, that was me. Oh, I don't know the game. What is happening? That's not what's going on. And Angela is like,
Gagged.
oh my God! Who are you?
Yeah.
What?
Which, to be fair, it's like, do we fully believe Lala?
No, I don't at
like,
all.
I'm like, well, Lala, like, but hey, listen, whatever the fact that we got that reaction out of Angela, Lala, I'll give it to you. You got it, girl.
Yes. But the point here is that Angela is like genuinely struggling here.
Yeah.
And she's struggling with Haley being up on the block, with lying to Haley, with like,
Yeah.
this is not Angela's game. This is Dee and Devin's game.
Yeah.
All of the like the blindsiding and the lying about the votes, like Angela's excited about this. She's a fan of Big Brother. She's like, oh, this is so fun. And then, but when she finds herself in it and she sees parts of her game crumbling, things that she's been working toward, and she's having to do all this lying and manipulating, and she's happy to lie, she's happy to manipulate, but like it's just a lot. It's a lot. And she's really starting to drag her down. And this is all very relevant, especially because there are some events happening this morning that it wouldn't even make sense if I told you that they're happening right now until we get toward the end of the day. But Angela's genuinely struggling here. Keep that in mind. She's going to continue to be crying and upset throughout the night. And so, this is what's going on. Now, there's all kinds of fallout that I can't really get into because we don't have the time. But it's mostly just Taylor, Haley, and Chuk complaining and everyone going up to them and being like, we didn't know what was happening. And Drew being like, I dressed up and I didn't even get nominated. What happened?
Right.
Nobody recognizing that Kamu did this. And Kamu is acting as surprised as anyone else.
Yep.
Well, I thought I was going up too.
Right.
Yeah, me too, Drew. I didn't even, what's happening? Meanwhile, he's playing in all their faces. Taylor talks to Devins and lets him know that the plan is Drew is the replacement nominee. And he's like, okay, so like Drew goes up and then like what happens like in the scenario, like Drew versus Barrett? She says, no, Drew stays in all scenarios. So Barrett goes. Yeah, Barrett goes because we need Drew to win comps and, to continue to take shots. And this is obviously a change. This is an opinion that Taylor and Lala have. It's not an opinion that that Devins and Dee share, though. They are not on board with Barrett leaves over Drew.
No, not at all. I mean, it makes sense. Like Dee is going to bring Barrett as far as she can. So yeah, they were not happy about that, to say the least.
So Haley all day has been talking about how she wants to confront Kamu about his vote and how she doesn't believe him. And now she's on the block. And so she finally has this conversation with Kamu. And Kamu, again, he swears he was not. He's like, I was fully with this. He says, I don't even understand why the alliance was blown up over this. Why anybody
Right.
would lie at all. We were steamrolling with a free pass to the jury. What is happening? Why would I do that? And he manages to convince her. She believes now that Kamu did not do this. He says it was not me. And he obviously thinks / knows that it was basically Dee and Angela. She will not budge on Angela. She absolutely refuses to believe it was Angela. However, to account for Kamu's vote, she does think it's possible that Dee messed up.
Right. Well, Angela
Not
did
lying
swear on her
to her.
grandkids.
Yeah.
She did swear on her grandkids, which was a big deal to Haley. I mean, you can't
Those
swear on the
grandbabies.
grandkids. You
Never.
can't. No.
She doesn't believe that Dee intentionally messed with them, she thinks Dee maybe messed up. I think in her mind, it's like Dee also heard what Devins was hearing and screwed up and voted the wrong way and is now just like too embarrassed to admit it. That's kind of like what she's come up with in her head. And Kamu's like, messed up? And you're sure about Angela? So Haley is now feeling like, okay, if we can trust Kamu, I already trust Chuk. I think Chuk is fine. Yash, I don't trust, but Dee just messed up, and it's okay. We just need to tell her that it's okay. We're not mad at her, and she'll tell us that the truth. We just need to get the band back together. She's doing her best, like Tommy BB28 impression. Like, let's just, grateful.
Oh, God.
And we just need to get everyone back together. If the alliance stays strong, this can work. In fact, listen, here's what I'm willing to do. To prove that I'm loyal, to prove that this alliance is strong and that we should stick together. If I win this veto, keep the noms the same.
Not using it.
Me, Chuk, Barrett. Barrett's not winning that Blockbuster. Me or Chuk win the Blockbuster. We're up against Barrett. We have the votes. It's guaranteed. We take out Barrett. Just like that. We just need to get the band back together. Great plan.
Great plan in Haley's brain, yes. I think her HOH-itis is still kind of like affecting her. I said this yesterday. I was like, she should just go to the upstairs DR and get a medic check, because what in the hell is she talking about?
Yeah, this is like, Morgan, this is like the I can't do 2 for 1. I need to do 2 for 2.
No,
plan.
it's so true.
Except
so true.
She came up with it herself.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's so bizarre how she's like really convinced that it was a mistake rather than her being fully blindsided. I mean, I will say, because I know we have to get through a lot, it was hilarious how she was going around being like, I said lyric stays. Like, it's like, Haley, mind you, once the renom is done, like, you have no power, sister. You have no power. Anyway,
Yeah.
hilarious.
So she goes and she talks to Dee and Angela, and she's like,
interesting.
So I just want you guys to know that, like, I'm not mad. Like, nobody's mad. I think with the vote, it's like, it's not even a big deal.
It's just a push.
It's not even, if somebody made a mistake and they voted the wrong way, it's like totally chill. Dee?
Literally, that's what she's like. Yeah, it's okay. Like, it's just a wash. Like, we shouldn't be breaking up this alliance over anything. Dee, like, she's literally aiming it all at Dee.
And Dee's like, whoa, I'm not lying. I did not vote lyric out. That was not me. And she's like, it's totally fine. Like, people have told me you were in the bathroom. What does it being in the bathroom have anything to do with it? She's like, that was where, like, things were being talked about, I guess. And she's like, listen, I call people up here. I'll tell them all right now. I had nothing to do with it. She's like, okay, that's fine. That's fine, Dee. She still doesn't believe her. But she then proposes the plan of, I just think we need to get everyone back together. We have the
Good old
votes.
meeting.
Don't use the veto. And they're like, you don't want to use the veto? She's like, yeah, I think. I mean, okay. She's like, is Chuk on board with this? She's like, I don't think he will be, but I think that's fine. Like, maybe we can get him on board.
I mean, listen, Haley, she said that she wants to keep her character intact. You know, she's had a rough couple weeks, Taran. She's just spent, you know?
Mm-hmm. So all of this is happening. And while all this is happening, I haven't even mentioned it yet, but as we learned on Unlocked, Mallory received the time capsule. Now, there was maybe some hope that given that Mallory won the time capsule and nobody came out with a punishment pre-noms, maybe that meant she got a power. Not the case. They were holding it until after the nom ceremony so that they could show it on Unlocked. And when the feeds came back from noms, Mallory walks out of the diary room, or she doesn't walk out. The feeds just came back. But Mallory's there, and she's literally tethered to Melody. They've been Adam and Eved.
Or even Eved, if you rather.
Even Eved, yes.
Even Eved. Which I wonder how Haley felt about seeing Mallory getting voted in there before her, because she swore it was her turn next.
Yes. And more importantly, I think the fact that Mallory has now received a public punishment, meaning she just got into the time capsule, means who got it last week? Because they all were saying it was Mallory. And of course, that means Devin's D. What's going on?
Right. You got something to say? Because things ain't adding up.
And D, who had told the cameras last week that she feels like she can't lie to Devins because he sees through her, admits it. I did get the power last week. It sucks, though.
I mean, that was really funny. I was kind of hoping she'd still keep it to her chest, but I feel like at that point, it's just kind of like, since Mallory did come out, it's like, all right, well, who's she going to put it on now? Oh, well, then it's got to be, who's she going to say? Drew, but.
Yes. And it's like, this is exactly why I didn't love the line in the first place. I just felt like it was going to be too hard to keep up with when other people were proven to, like who would have gotten it that week. Ultimately, she comes clean. And I think this is correct. Better to do it now than later in the season where it matters more. I think Devins is still locked in with her. I don't think it was a huge deal. He says he doesn't. He just says he doesn't care. So everything's all good. Everything's all good. Angela is continuing to just she just hates the live feed updates, I think, because she's apparently talking about calling a house meeting as we speak. So we are going to continue to run through this update.
Things are happening, guys. They're happening.
So let's keep going. We'll keep going.
Yeah, let's speed roll.
D and Devins have that conversation. D says, we're keeping Barrett. We're not getting rid of Drew. That's not happening. Devins is like, yeah, Drew's already back to his old self. He's just hanging out with Melody. And now, by extension, with Mallory as well, because there's a bit of a throuple going on when they're tethered together. Yep. Lala talks with Taylor, D, Devins, and Angela. They all come together up in the HOH room. And Angela admits to them officially that she voted Lyric out. They already know. And they talk about Kamu and how Kamu is the fake backdoor plan, which is very interesting for the vets because why is Kamu a fake backdoor plan?
Right.
They also talk about how they're going to be working together moving forward and how they should pretend to like not be getting along. Sure. D and Lala fake a little bit of an argument at the end of this conversation. And the main takeaway here is Lala and Taylor, they still have the honor society, D and Angela, but they now also have this burgeoning kind of like Yash Kamu thing. Sure. And then Taylor herself still has the Devins Kamu alliance. And so there's a lot of different like groupings here, and they're not doing a great job of like keeping them separate and hiding what they need to hide from these groups. Sure. So like Devins and Dee and Angela are gonna start to recognize that that like Kamu's done something. Like Kamu's got in with them somehow, and this is a little dangerous.
Yep. Spot on.
So Lala and Taylor hang out upstairs as well. They're gonna be like impersonating people on the spy screen. It's very fun. And maybe we would play a little more with it if this was a shorter day and there weren't things going down right now on the feeds. And Kamu talks to Devins and Taylor about the Tethers Alliance. Hey, we're locked in, right? Like, we're good. And they're like, yeah, we should move forward with this. This makes a lot of sense. And Kamu talks about how they should bring Yash in to this kind of group. Kamu now, I think, really locked in with Yash. Taylor talks to Devins afterwards. She says that she thinks that they can trust Kamu. Devins tries to be like, I don't know if we can, actually. Do you really think he's broken away from Haley and Chuk in the way that he's claiming? And she's like, yeah, I think he has. He's like, great.
Yeah.
I love that. Angela continues to be really upset, which is very relevant to what I'm saying is happening right now, because as I said, she is very upset about all of this stuff going on. There's going to be a long conversation in the night where she talks with Taylor and Lala and Dee, and Taylor and Lala are kind of encouraging her, just tell Kamu the truth about the vote. Just tell him that you voted this way. You're feeling all messed up about this. Just open up about it. Just like reveal the truth. It's going to be fine. And Taylor actually goes and tells Kamu and Yash that they're right about the vote, that it was Dee and Angela. And so the vote stuff is like getting exposed in which was in many ways inevitable, but not entirely. And this is what's happening right now. Just to be clear, just to catch you up if you want to start watching what's happening right now, is that all this stuff is happening. They encouraged Angela to tell the truth. Kamu and Yash now know about it already. And this morning, as we've been talking, Angela went to Haley. And she told Haley that she was lying about the vote.
It's funny because I feel like Angela actually could have been the one person to not vote that way. I mean, Lyric still would have left. I feel like for Angela's game, it didn't make sense. I mean, she's definitely obviously playing a little bit more of Dee and Devins, but yeah, Angela's going through it right now.
She woke up, she was sobbing. When we started the update, it was just like Angela sobbing to herself. She just like couldn't hold it in. She's Angela-ing. I assume she didn't. I mean, she was up pretty late last night. I don't think she got a lot of sleep. And so like Haley's now pissed, as from what I can tell. This is not like regular up. This is me like reading things as Haley's pissed. Angela was talking about people are saying that there was a potential house meeting on board. It's not happening right now. And right now she's talking to Chuk. She's still crying. It's like Haley's saying things like, you know, she swore on her family, and like she can't believe that this would happen. And like oh man, it's a mess. It's a mess, and it's Angela. It's Angela being Angela. You know what I mean?
Yep. We're getting prime Angela here. It's interesting. I mean, I'm locked in. I'm so locked in right now.
So there's more happening here, but like the main thing is that, as I said, Dee and Angela are recognizing that Kamu got in there. Devins is trying to sort of like remove Kamu's influence from some of this stuff unsuccessfully. And so right now the basics are Barrett, Chuk, and Haley are on the block. Haley is still the target. Although who knows what this new thing has wrought, right? Like Haley's the target now, but if Haley's now pissed at Angela and completely untethered from almost anybody else in the house, is she still a huge target? Where does this leave Chuk? Chuk is theoretically the backup target. Barrett is theoretically this pawn sitting on the block, but like, again, if as Melody said, you have to strike while the iron's hot, while the people are down. But if they're really down, and you see Barrett, who's like locked in with a few people, that could be kind of dangerous. This is why you never want to
Totally.
actually be on the block. Um, so so all of this is happening, but while this is happening now, Lala and Taylor, as expected with Taylor in power, are now like reaffirming Taylor's alliances, making new ones, and sort of like trying to center themselves in the house. And while they are the center of the house, the vets have already picked up on the fact that that they are not the center, and that Kamu has found his way into a spot that they don't want him to be in. So they're going to probably be working on that. Meanwhile, Drew and Barrett and Mallory and Melody are kind of like mostly chilling. Obviously, Barrett on the block is not chilling, but they're mostly just kind of hanging out in their Eve and Eve costumes, and cuddling a little, and talking about how like, hey, let this happen, I guess. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
they're
I
just
feel like
kind
this
of
is
waiting to see what comes of all of this.
yeah, I mean, this could work out really well in their favor. I mean, because shit is starting to blow up. And, whenever you have an Angela blow up, it blows up. The whole house blows up. So this is gonna be very interesting.
Yes. So that's really the house is just a complete again,
Disarray.
the main thing I want to convey is that everything has been reshuffled.
Yep.
The entire board is moving around. Kamu played excellently yesterday,
Yep.
but the vets kind of saw that he played excellently, so keep that in mind. Taylor and Lala are in power right now, and they're kind of moving well, but obviously,
Right.
and
Good way to put it.
and who knows where this goes? Like genuinely, the reset button has been pushed, and now even more so this morning with Angela admitting to Haley about what happened. There's all kinds of nonsense happening, and of course now the feeds have gone to pets. So
Right. Maybe veto pick.
probably veto draw, I would
Yeah,
assume, if
veto
it's
draw, I
pets.
think.
So
Oh, never
no,
mind.
never
No, the
mind.
feeds are back.
They're
Feeds are
back.
back.
False pets, fake pets.
Fake
Um,
pets.
Anyway, is there anything else, Morgan, that we should be talking about or bringing up before we wrap up this update?
Honestly, I feel like it's just important to keep in mind that obviously, like the icons are still a solid trio. We have the FAP alliance, which is still really strong, and then I think what's going to be what we should be watching is seeing how this Lala, Kamu, Taylor, Yash situation form. If they end up bringing more people in, I think by the end of this week, we'll probably see a strong alliance coming together. It makes sense for that to happen. If it doesn't, I'll be a little disappointed because I feel like that's what they need. If their goal is to win this game, they need to get the icons out. It's clear as day. It should have been they should have been targets week 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, whatever. But I played with an icon. I wanted to work with her. Sometimes it works. Sometimes, they're good for your game. But then again, that was only one. This is three. But I think that's probably the most important thing. Question: who do you think is going to be voted into the time capsule next? Like, do we think that someone like Kamu will get voted after this move? Like, do we think he's going to be that? I don't see it personally, but I could see maybe
Yeah, I
like a
mean,
Drew or Taylor. I don't know. What do you
I
think?
don't think the online fan base is going to get behind Kamu, and the online
Yeah,
fan base is the only one that's going to care about like how good you're playing.
sure.
Um, but I think Drew or Melody are probably the top contenders.
Yeah.
Both because listen, I think the Mallory vote was heavily influenced by the online vote. I think that like the online vote wasn't able to counteract like the icons, but
Hmm.
uh but I do think that they probably like I don't know if the television audience like 4 weeks deep is still like voting every day
Sure.
or even every week at this point.
Yeah.
So I think that that Drew and Melody are probably going to have the showmancy like casual audience support. I think Taylor could still be in it. Taylor was voted BB Badass on Unlocked last night, so
Yeah.
she could certainly be in it with a chance. But that would be my guess. And you know, moving forward, Melody described the house as being three groups now,
Mm.
which is kind of true, not entirely true, but you can kind of see it
Little
with
pockets.
like you have the FAP grouping, you have the icons, you have uh what used to be Red Corner was now completely demolished.
Yeah.
And so they've kind of spread as like individuals. But Kamu went in a good direction, which is with Yash into Taylor and Lala. And so you do have these like different groups now. It's so interesting. These blockbuster seasons have really resisted these large structural steamrolly games. And this was the first time with the vets and with the powers that they held and the HOH results. It was like, we're finally getting a steamroll. And the vets were like, that's not how Survivor works. We like blindsides. And now all of a sudden, the game's wide open again. And I imagine things will continue to be pretty fluid moving forward.
I agree with you. It's going to be interesting. Can't
All
wait.
right.
Can't wait.
Well, thank you, Morgan, for joining me. I wish that there was like this was maybe a little more of an analysis focused update.
No, it's totally fun. I love updates because I was trying to stay up last night, but I knew I had to get up for this. So I was like, the great part is I'm going to be on a live feed update. So I don't even have to worry about staying up late because I'm going to be able to get more information here. So this was great.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining me. I will, of course, be back tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, to update on everything that happens today. It's an important week for the direction of the season, so stay locked in to hear more about where things end up going. If you want to check out the live streams I'm doing, check out my Patreon. We're doing lots of fun stuff over there. And I've also got some like fun projects in the works, so check out the Patreon. And we got all kinds of other podcasts coming your way moving forward. Morgan, what are you up to? What are you doing?
I'm just, streaming and talking Big Brother. You guys can find me on my platforms on Patreon or Twitch for Model Morgue. Just have to search that up. If you're into K-pop, I do K-pop reacts on YouTube. It's kind of fun. I like listening to music videos and talking about it. Aside from that, you guys can find me yapping about this season on Twitter, also on Model Morgue. The usual.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here today, and I will see all of you next time.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.